Okay, call this Village of Greenhills Council meeting for August 23rd, 2022 to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor Moore.
Here.
Ms. Slaughter.
Wait a minute.
Here.
Me first.
Ms. Osmanoglu.
Here.
Mr. Lee.
Here.
Ms. Hermes.
Here.
Mr. Halter.
Here.
Okay. We want to do a prayer first and then wait till, okay.
Lord, we ask you to send your spirit of servanthood upon all of us gathered this evening to do your work for the benefit of all in our community. We ask you to bless our elected and appointed officials so they may deliver with wisdom and act with courage. Bless the members of our community who come here to speak before council so they state their cause with honesty and humility. Lord, teach us to be generous in listening so we may understand others' point of view. Lord, we ask you to bless us all and that everything we do here tonight will move you to welcome us one day into your kingdom as good and faithful servants. We ask this in the name of our brother Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we'll go ahead and approve the council minutes if there are no changes.
Mr. Mayor, I found no mistakes on it.
Okay, minutes approved as presented. And that was for a council meeting of July 26, 2022, and work session of August 9, 2022. And are we ready?
Yes, we are. I would like to make a motion to appoint Rachel Hudson to the vacant seat expiring December 31st, 2023 to council.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right. And we'll have you come up and we'll give you an oath of office.
Official vote.
If you will hold the Bible, I'll take a picture.
Oh, okay. That'll work.
Not yet. There. Good.
Yeah. You swear. Okay, repeat after me. I, Rachel Hudson, do solemnly swear
I, Rachel Hudson, do solemnly swear,
or affirm my unqualified support of
or affirm my unqualified support of
and allegiance to
and allegiance to
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution of the laws of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the laws of the State of Ohio,
the Charter and ordinances of the Village of Greenhills,
the Charter and ordinances of the Village of Greenhills,
and to administer my duties faithfully
and to administer my duties faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
incumbent upon me
incumbent upon me
as a council member of the Village of Greenhills,
as a council member of the Village of Greenhills,
Hamilton County, Ohio.
of Hamilton County.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
There is, I don't see one.
Is there seat up all the way?
Yeah, you see, there's a lever on the right side. of this.
Provide us with many things.
We're trying to look.
You want to pass that down?
All right.
Pass it up.
And then we'll need to get that back after she signs.
Okay.
If you sign, I need at least a copy of it for your file.
All right. Now, actually, it's not on the agenda for out there, but we have a public presentation by Jennifer Weicker from the library.
Hi, thanks so much for letting me come and speak to you guys again. Last time I was just telling you about how the summer was going to kick off, and we had an awesome summer. Our Discover Summer program was very successful. We helped a lot of kids set learning goals and to achieve those goals and do some fun things along the way. So I just wanted to say thank you for all of your support while we worked through that. And now we're already back to school, which is like, whoa, how can it possibly be that already? But the library card is a pretty good tool for anybody for the schoolwork. We have access to tutors online through our homework help program. We also have live tutors at several locations, including Forest Park and North Central. So if a child needs any assistance with a specific topic or anything, we can help them out with that as well. And the online tutoring program is from like 2 until 11, Monday through Friday, and that's all ages. And they're qualified teachers that are throughout the country that respond to any questions that children may have. So I've used it myself in college a couple of times. It was very useful. But if you need to sign up for a library card, you can go online, you can visit any of our locations, and we'd love to help you get that. We've also resumed our meals. We partner with UMC Foods to provide meals for youth after school. We serve shelf-stable meals from 3:45 until 4:30 Monday through Friday. That just started on Monday. We took a pause over the summer because the Winton Woods School Nutrition Bus was visiting our location over the summer. And now we're resuming that since they're at school for their other meals with the school program. We do have a small study room that's available. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but if you need some quiet time away from the barking dogs or anything like that at home, if you are needing to get away from some siblings that might be a little bit loud, if you stop in, you can reserve that space. It's room for 1 to 2 people. And it's on a first-come, first-served basis, but it's available all of the open hours of the library, Mondays and Tuesdays, 10 a.m. until 8 p.m., and then Wednesday through Saturday, 10 until 6. We also have lots of fun programs that continue. We have started a chess club, so if anybody is interested, that's for all ages and all abilities, so if you've not played chess, that's me. It's still a wonderful place to come and learn. We have people who come and help us out occasionally, and it's just recreational fun. But that's on the first Tuesday of every month at 6:30. We also have 3 book clubs, a nonfiction book club, a mystery book club, and a fiction book club. I usually do a craft series once a month where we have different activities for teens and adults. On Saturday, we'll be doing trinket bowls with polymer clay, and starting next month, we'll have pressed flowers and like creating bookmarks and some other fun stuff with that. We also have some more specific ones. We have a homeschooling series that we'll be kicking off. And we have programs that are only for homeschooling families. And we'll be starting off with Ohio Fossils with Gwen Roth on September 8th at 11 a.m. We also have a balloon, like how to make animals and stuff out of the balloons. That class will be on Saturday, September 10th at 11 a.m. And that's for kids and teens 5 to 16. So they're welcome to come. We'll have it out at the gazebo unless it's like really bad weather. We've been having a lot of them out there just because it's so nice to be able to enjoy some of the beautiful weather and that beautiful resource that we have in the community. The Greenhills Fire Department will be visiting us for a fire safety class on Saturday, October 1st at 11 a.m. Again at the gazebo, weather permitting, and we do hope that the fire truck and ambulance will be there if they're not somewhere else. And then we're also going to be celebrating National Yoga Month with a chair yoga class on Saturday, September 17th at 2 p.m. with the presenter, Helene Everhart from Creative Aging. And that's for all ages and abilities as well. So if you've never tried it, it's a lot of fun. We're also working to partner with Waycross Media, who You may be watching this on Waycross Media right now, but we're hoping to have an oral history project to kind of preserve some of the memories of growing up here in Greenhills. So if you know people who think this would be fun to record, to put on Waycross Media, maybe to digitize on the website. Also, if you want to record your stories for your own family, they'll offer some tips for filming these different things. If you have some artifacts that you maybe like to bring to have filmed, anything from high school memorabilia to other historical objects, or your favorite thing that you had as a kid that you remember from growing up here. We'd love to have that. We're going to be rescheduling it, so please keep an eye out on our website or give us a call. Once we have that scheduled, those will be in our event calendar online. And we're also excited that we're going to be part of the Fall Fest, and wanted to say thank you so much for extending that invitation to us. And we're here for the whole community, and please stop by and see us. We're in the big white community building, even though it looks like maybe we're kind of tucked around behind. We really are open, and would love to see everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. No public hearings. Municipal Manager Yvonne Kovac.
Thank you, Mayor, and a big welcome to our new council member. So ask any questions you want. It'll probably seem like Greek tonight, but I wanted to start with a legislative report to review the items that are on the agenda tonight. 2204, that's our second reading of the chronic nuisance property. Again, this one is going to put a section in our code that will actually allow the village to identify, based on code enforcement issues or police issues, properties that are nuisance properties. It will give us some stronger tools for remedying those situations. And increasing penalties to the property owners whose properties are declared a nuisance. So again, that's on for its second reading tonight. The next one, 2205, this is similar to the previous legislation that was in front of council that did not pass. So it moves forward as its own item, so it does have a new ordinance number on it, 05. It is similar. I made changes only to the ordinance, which is why it was in your packet, but I did give you a copy of the attachments, Exhibit A and Exhibit B, which we clarified as to what those are. Exhibit A actually establishing the code section, and Exhibit B proposed guidelines. So no changes were made to the attachments. And then there's resolution number 2219, which is another supplemental. This time we're putting some of the remaining balance of the tree fund balance into the line item to pay for additional tree work. It just keeps happening for us. We had yet another tree go down about a week ago as well. So a little bit of a rough year for trees. Okay, any questions on those at this point? Okay, let me go on to just some general issues. The pool refunds that we've talked a little bit about in talking to Deb, I think it would be appropriate for the auditor if council could maybe by motion or simply having it in the minutes, some documentation that you were aware of the process that we're using to make those refunds. And I would like to review that again with you. That we'll be issuing them to anybody who, was affected by the delayed opening, who had paid in full at the beginning of this season. So the formula was the membership rate that individual paid, divided by the 90 days of swimming that actually happened this summer, which gave us the cost per day to swim, times 28 days that were missed, and that gives us the refund amount. We're paying this out by cash or check. If they pay by cash or check, a check will be issued. If they pay by credit card, our preference is to issue it back to the credit card unless we can't backtrack. In some instances, somebody else might pay for it for another individual, that kind of thing, and the membership might be in another name. Anyway, if we have to issue a check for those, we will do so. Anything more to add on that, Deb, or did I cover that good enough for the refund policy? And if council which I hope you're going to proceed with this, but we did want to get something in writing. Do you feel it should be a motion, maybe at the appropriate time?
Yeah, at the appropriate time, it would be appropriate for council to make a motion to approve the refund structure as
Okay.
described.
Okay.
And if one of the council members is a member, should they abstain because it affects them? Or since it's an overall broad stroke,
I mean, the policy, the refund policy as explained would apply to anyone that purchased the pass. So it's nothing specific to a council member. That being said, because voting for it will entitle you to a refund, it may be best, well, let's count. It may be best to abstain.
okay, thank you.
Are you the only one?
I believe so.
Okay.
Okay, that's handy. Okay, great. Thank you. Also wanted to let you know, I've authorized the chief to start the testing process for an additional sergeant's position. We've had 2 squads of officers. One of those is without a supervisor. And having that additional sergeant's going to increase the efficiency of the department, and it'll be at a minimal cost, and it is without increasing actual staff numbers, because we are looking for this to be a promotion from within. Then the catch basins have been repaired. There is one that was repaired, though. The Gambier ones are fine. There's one over in the A block that we're going to have a little additional work done because the grate still wiggles just a little bit, but that work has finally been completed, so I wanted to let you know that. And that's what I have. Thank you.
Okay. Comments or questions, Manager? All right. Law Director Jeff Forbes.
Thank you, Mayor. Just the standard things that I generally report on. I can tell you right now the village is not involved in any pending legal action, so there's nothing to report on that. I think I mentioned here last time that the state legislature is in recess until November, essentially, after the election. So because they've been in recess, there's really no state legislation to report on, because everything is just at a standstill. I would note that once the legislature comes back in November, they may decide to act on some of those bills that we've discussed that might have an impact on local government. If they do not, then those bills just go away. They die, and they would have to be introduced again as a new bill with the new legislature. So my hope then is that sometime after November, if they start getting active again, then there might be actually something. I'll go back to the written report that I used to provide, but right now there's just nothing to provide but in that report. The only other thing I had, and Yvonne, you tell me if you want me to do it now. I know there were some questions related to the small cell ordinance that were passed on to me. I can try to address them now or now? Okay. Well, one thing Yvonne already addressed, and that was what are the exhibits, A and B. And I guess it's worth just explaining, just to clarify. So you have an ordinance that will adopt potentially a new section of your codified ordinances, of your code book. That is Exhibit A. So Exhibit A is the actual section that would, if passed, go in the code book. Exhibit B are the design guidelines. Those actually will not be part of your codified ordinances. They don't go in the code book. As you read what's being proposed as the new code section, what I believe it says is that the municipal manager has the authority to adopt and implement design guidelines. So actually, that's not even something that would necessarily come before council, but we've taken the position that, well, if we have the design guidelines ready, we're going to put them before you as well. And you've had some discussion about that. So that's why there were 2 exhibits, and that was probably confusing at first. We've clarified that to make sure only Exhibit A is the only thing you're actually adopting that will go in the code book. Let's see, there was a question that said in the design guidelines section regarding the denial of an application, one of the conditions listed states that it can be denied if it is counter to the health, safety, and welfare of the village. The question is, what does that mean, and how would it be proven? So I can tell you, I should have said this at the beginning. This entire ordinance, everything about it, is based on the authority that the state of Ohio has given to municipalities to regulate small cell facilities. It's in chapter 4939 of the Ohio Revised Code. That's everything that we're doing here has to comply with 4939 of the Ohio Revised Code. And that section does, 4939.037 does say that nothing in this chapter precludes a municipal corporation from applying its generally applicable health, safety, and welfare regulations when granting consent for a small cell facility or wireless support structure. That's all it says. It does not provide any definition or any guidance on what that means. What I would tell you is that the state law, and actually I have it right here, part of 4939.02 is the titled state policy. So it actually, the state has affirmatively kind of put forth here, what is the policy of why we're doing this? And one of them is, number A3 says to promote the rapid deployment of small cell facility infrastructure and related capital investment in this state by ensuring that municipal corporations grant or deny consent to install, operate, modify, or replace wireless facilities in a timely manner. And so my point in reading that is, yes, it does say that you can consider health, safety, and welfare reasons, doesn't define them. But you have to look at that in terms of the overall policy that the state has put forth, which is to promote the rapid deployment of small cell facility infrastructure. So the reason the state did Chapter 4939 related to this was the policy was to promote the installation of these facilities. So my point in telling you that is, if you were going to deny a facility based on just a general health, safety, and welfare objection, the burden, I think, would be very high, because that would be contrary to the policy of the state of Ohio to put forth the implementation of these. So I can't provide any real specific guidance because the state law doesn't, but I can tell you it seems to be contrary to the policy, so you better be prepared and have a very good reason for that. Next question said that in the design guidelines, in the location requirements section, there's a reference to providing an alternate site that is within 100 feet. And the question was, is the distance of 100 feet from the Ohio Revised Code? Answer, yes. 4939.0314D gives municipalities the authority to propose an alternate location to the proposed location of a new wireless support structure that is within 100 feet of the proposed location. So we didn't make up 100 feet. That's from the state law. And then the last question is interesting specifically for Greenhills, because the question says, as opposed to the standard right-of-way in Greenhills, many of the properties have privately owned rear lot line easements. How would that unique factor be interpreted in this legislation? And I think the overall thing that I would remind you of is that the state law that this is all based on only grants authority to regulate small cell facilities in a public way. And it defines public way. 4939.01N defines public way as the surface of and the space within, through, on, across, above, below, any public street, public road, public highway, public freeway, public lane, public path, public alley, public court, public sidewalk, public boulevard, public parkway, public drive, public easement, and any other land dedicated or otherwise designated in a compatible public use which on or after July 2nd, 2002, is owned or controlled by a municipal corporation. So it specifically excludes private easements. So that answers that question. Those were the questions that were sent to me ahead of time. I hope that addresses them. Perhaps when this legislation is before council, if there are other questions, I can try to address them then. And that would conclude my report.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Clerk of Council, Teresa Lawley.
I'm sorry, what did you need? Are we taking the?
Your report.
Oh,
If you have a
I'm
report.
sorry, I was so involved in that. No report. I was concentrating, sorry.
I think she means I put her to sleep.
Not at all, not at all.
All right, Chief of Police Neil Ferdinand.
Thanks, Mayor. We did handle a number of calls in the past month, over 200, but they were mostly uneventful, and we're so blessed to have the low crime rate that we have here in Greenhills that allows us to have the time to have some fun with our residents, which we proceeded to do. The first occasion that I wanted to tell you about was something that we tried for the first time. I think it was a success. It was called Game Time with GPD. We wanted to spend time exclusively with our kids here in our community. So we opened it up to age 5 to mid-teens, and we had probably 40 kids all within that age range that came to play games with us. We had such fun that day. We were lucky that the weather held out. We had kickball, basketball, cornhole, checkers. We played board games like Candyland, Trouble, Uno, and a host of other board and card games. And we even had fun with bubbles. So we started by serving lots of pizza. We had to get more. We underestimated how hungry our kids were in this town. And we had rainbow flavors of shaved ice afterwards, and just had a great time. We followed that up a little bit later on Cooking with the Cops on National Night Out. And we did that on August 2nd. We had a bigger crowd. We had 75 residents of all ages who came to enjoy. We thank Kenny Burke, our former council member, and current council member Jack Lee for their hard work at the grill. I had to get tickled on Channel 19 when they came, and we didn't even tell Channel 19 about it. We said, "How did you find out?" And they said, "We saw your Facebook page." So, Yvonne, that's a sign that it's working. But I enjoyed Mr. Lee's comments when he said, the obligatory shot with the grill." And we do appreciate all your hard work. We had a great time interacting with our residents. It was always fun. Our fire department cooperated. They brought in air care. So we had air care landing, and squads, cruisers, fire trucks, all were on display, and we just had a terrific time. Right here in this chambers, 2 things occurred. On August 11th, we had DART, which is the Drug Abuse Reduction Task Force, gave a presentation to our residents about the dangers of drugs and what drugs particularly are present here in our community and throughout Hamilton County. And then right here in this area on August 20th, which was this past Saturday, we had a free personal safety self-defense class for our residents. We had a great time with those folks. In case you don't know, the Greenhills Police Department is a Google business. If you Google us, we have a business listing. And we are now a multiple 5-star rating because the people in our class, we had 4 that were kind enough and came and gave us 5-star ratings in our Google business account. So they're kind of fun to read. Officer Holbrook, who is a state certified self-defense instructor, did a magnificent job of teaching our residents how to protect themselves better. If that sounds like something that you or the folks at home that might be watching might be interested in, you have another opportunity. We have a second class scheduled for October 15th. We limit the class size to 20 because it's just difficult to maintain with almost one-on-one instruction. And That class will be open to sign up now until shortly before then. So go to our website or come to our lobby and you'll be able to sign up for that class. We had continued professional training for our officers. We're still ongoing through the Ohio Peace Officers Training Program with our CPT continuing professional training. All of our officers completed the following courses, including legal updates in domestic violence and protection orders. Those two classes comprised 8 hours of training. Our officers currently are working on effective communications with persons in crisis, which is a 2.5 hour course. Additional Officer Mayberry attended the 2-day advanced roadside impaired driving enforcement or ARIDE training at Great Oaks Vocational School. Came to me and told me that that training was extremely beneficial to him, and he does lead our department in OVIRS, so we're glad that he was able to get there. We collaborated with our school system on August 16th. Forest Park Police, Greenhills Police, and the schools met to present a full active shooter exercise to all teachers and staff at the schools in our jurisdiction. Officer Holbrook coordinated the instruction to the teachers. We did a whole simulated exercise given the events in today's society. And as the police chief here, I made a solemn promise to our staff that there would be no delays in Greenhills. If we get a call of an active shooter, we're going in without delays, without any explanations. We're going to get to the shooter and stop the shooting. And that's how we've trained for the past decade and how we will continue to react. And we hope that never occurs, but we're ready if it does. Speaking of schools, it started this past Monday on August 22nd. If you look on our website or in our monthly newsletter, we have some diagrams that explain when you should stop if a school bus has its lights flashing. There's often a lot of confusion on that. If you're in a 4-lane highway and you're traveling the same direction as a school bus, you should of course stop as you should on any 2-lane highway. But if you're on a 4-lane highway, you are not obligated to stop if you're going in the opposite direction. And I see that happening all the time because people want to err on the side of safety, and that's good. And we do remind you that with students on our streets, please be aware of younger pedestrians and keep in mind that we're going to be running radar and we're going to be stopping people that are driving at excessive speeds. Just kind of something to make you smile here. We had a quick thinking officer that saved one of our residents undoubtedly thousands and thousands of dollars. A Greenhills resident was recently contacted by a caller who stated he represented Amazon, and he stated that there were multiple fraudulent charges against our resident's credit card that needed to be taken care of. The caller then transferred him to an alleged DEA agent, I'm not sure what that had to do with anything, but that's what they said, who informed the resident that if he did not immediately take care of these charges and send him the payment, they would freeze all his assets. The caller convinced our residents to withdraw $9,700 in cash, put it inside a book, I'm not sure what that's got to do with anything either, and take it to a local UPS store and pay to have the book to be shipped to next day air to a New York address. After this, it occurred to our resident while he was driving home that this could be a fraud. So instead of going home, he came here to our police department. Officer Holbrook was on duty and talked to him. As soon as he heard, he found out what UPS store that he went to. He immediately called them, identified himself, put a police order on that UPS delivery. They still had it there in the office, and they allowed the resident to go retrieve his cash. So that quick thinking action probably saved our resident almost $10,000. So we tell the story because if someone calls you with these kind of things, the federal government, DEA, IRS, the police department, we're never going to call you and instruct you to give money. So please, if you're suspicious, hang up. My personal policy at home, if I don't know the number, I don't answer it. That's why I've got an answering machine. So because of Officer Holbrook's quick actions, he received a letter of commendation, which read in part, without any doubt, your quick actions saved our resident thousands of dollars and prevented him from becoming a victim of fraud. You are commended for your quick actions which stopped a crime from occurring. Your efforts reflected quick thinking initiative. Please keep up the good work. As I mentioned, we had 211 calls for service in the past month. We made 19 criminal arrests, including charges for burglary, theft, contributing to the delinquency of a child, domestic violence, operating a vehicle under the influence, possession of drugs, disorderly conduct, and failure to appear. We responded to 33 squad runs, 19 parking complaints, 15 warrant service attempts, 10 trouble runs, 10 intrusion runs, checked 7 suspicious persons, 6 fireworks complaints, 5 lockouts, 5 checks on the well-being, 4 animal complaints, 4 domestic violence calls, 4 disabled vehicles, 4 domestic trouble runs, and 4 motorist assists. We provided mutual aid to our neighboring communities in 26 instances. We issued 28 traffic citations, 34 warnings, and investigated 4 traffic crashes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Chief. Any comments of the chief? Okay. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right, my report, I've got Mayor's Court fines, dollar amounts. State of Ohio received from us $1,351.50. Hamilton County, $52.50. And the Village of Greenhills from the court has received $5,235.80. And also, I wanted to mention that we have a flag up here that was commemorating to remember 9/11, and Maria donated that flag to the village. Okay. Reports of committees, Service and Streets, Jennifer Montague.
Thank you. I wanted to thank the Service Department for their painting of the parking lot, or parking lines on the streets, and that everything looks nice, and for the continued upkeep of the shrubbery trimmings and everything around the village. They're doing a good job. Thank you.
That it?
That concludes it.
All right. Safety?
I know, it's hard, that's all I have to say.
Safety, Melanie Armies.
I wanted to piggyback on the chief's information about buses. Just as an FYI, Greenhills does not have any place that a bus would stop that would cause anyone not to stop, because I do not believe there's any bus stops on Winton Road, and that is our only four-lane road in the Village of Greenhills. So if there's a school bus stopped with its, you better stop as well. And the other thing is, I don't know how it came about, but my mother taught my daughter when she's crossing the street in the morning to put her arms up so she's bigger and more visible. So it seems to work for them. So, and she's gotten a couple other kids to do it as well. So that's a tip for some of the shorter school-age children, that to be more visible, you can always put your arms up as you cross the street. And then our next safety committee meeting is before our September meeting, and we'll be meeting at 5:30.
Finance and Audit, Jack Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, at your places tonight is the monthly recap that the Finance Director has provided us for the month ending July. And as you see, both the income tax receipts as well as the real estate tax receipts are pretty much on target. So the overall revenues are pretty much on target, and the fund balance is also on target. As of the end of July, the fund balance stood at $1,652,566.98. The expenditure side, again, is ahead of last year, but overall, at this point, we have spent 40% of our appropriated funds. And transfers now represented by those funds that we transferred last month. And that's the end of that report. Is this an appropriate time to make a motion? to authorize the refund of
New business.
new business? Okay.
Okay. All right, moving on. Community Development, Jeff Alder.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I briefly met with our new council member, real excited about working with Rachel on both recreation and community development. Did a little bit of bringing her up to speed, and we'll plan on our next meeting, and that concludes my report at this point.
Okay, thank you. Intergovernmental Affairs, Laws and Rules, Maria Walther.
Our meeting will be happening on September the 27th at 6 p.m. And that will be immediately after the the safety committee meeting, which is at 5:30.
Okay, all right. And Recreation Cable Television, do you want to make any statement? Welcome aboard. Yes, glad to be here.
Yeah, excited, thank you. You guys could have warned me though that I was gonna have to repeat all that.
You did a good job.
You did fine. Okay, this is an opportunity for residents and non-residents to make comments solely regarding legislation that's on the current agenda. Non-residents must obtain prior permission. And we've not had any non-residents request speaking. This is time for citizens to comment on legislation listed on the agenda for this session of council. When recognized, please come forward to the podium, complete the sign-in sheet, verbally indicate if you're a resident of Greenhills or a non-resident, then state your comments. Comments will be limited to 4 minutes.
Monique Mason-Halter, Greenhills resident. I'm here tonight to again ask Greenhills council members to pass an ordinance that would provide the maximum power available to our village to regulate the placement of wireless facilities so as to prevent the irresponsible placement of these facilities and to prevent the adverse impacts they could have on our community. I've mentioned at past meetings, other local councils have already done this, including Amberley Village. At past meetings, I have also read from the Amberley Village ordinance. Months ago, I emailed it to you all to review. Their ordinance also has provisions in it that limit private property owners' ability to install wireless antennas, towers, and base stations on their property to broadcast into neighborhoods. Our village has the right to use the maximum power available to us for this type of ordinance. As I've mentioned before, if you council members don't feel comfortable with writing an ordinance that uses the maximum power available to our village, there is no disgrace in hiring someone with experience to help you. In the meantime, your hesitance to do this leaves our neighborhoods vulnerable to companies installing unneeded and unwanted wireless facilities. We have the right to not have wireless infrastructure installed in neighborhoods where there are no wireless service gaps. Since you only provide 4 minutes, I only have time to read excerpts from an article published by Americans for Responsible Technology about a judge ruling in favor of a village in New York for denying small cell applications. The judge quoted from the 1996 Telecommunications Act, citing the provision that, quote, "Nothing in this chapter shall limit or affect the authority of a state or local government or instrumentality, thereof over decisions regarding the placement, construction, and modification of personal wireless service facilities," end quote. He reasoned a plain reading of the text supports the claim by the village that it is acted legally, establishing a strong written record and denying the applications based on legitimate principles. Most importantly, the judge ruled that the provisions of the 1996 Act do not necessarily apply to the new uses of wireless to provide broadband and other services, as the FCC claimed in a 2018 ruling, quote, "Improved capacity and speed are desirable and no doubt profitable goals in the age of smartphones, but they are not protected by the Act," end quote. The judge quoted a previous court case in which the court found that, quote, "It is not up to the FCC to construe the 1996 Telecommunications Act to say something it does not say, nor up to the court to find broadband communication encompassed by the law. End quote. At the June council meeting, I submitted a copy to you of an environmental review of Greenhills and surrounding locations completed by the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. This was for all of you to review. As mentioned by Jack Lee at the August 9th work session, Greenhills is a Greenbelt community, but it is unknown whether this will affect the deployment of wireless infrastructure here. Therefore, the village needs a strong ordinance that provides the maximum protection available to us. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Unfinished business, ordinance number 2022-04-LNR, second reading, adopting section 517.21 of the Village of Greenhills Codified Ordinances regarding chronic nuisance properties. Ms. Walther?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ordinance number 2022-04, LNR, adopting section 521.17 of the Village of Greenhills Codified Ordinances regarding chronic nuisance properties. Whereas Council for the Village of Greenhills has determined in its best interest of the village to implement certain regulations related to chronic nuisance properties, and whereas it is the desire of council to adopt such regulations, now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio, and members elected thereto concurring, Section 1, that Section 521.17 of the Village of Greenhills Codified Ordinances is hereby adopted and set forth in Exhibit A, attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference. Section 2, that all other provisions of the Village of Greenhills Codified Ordinances shall remain in full force and effect. And Section 3, that this ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after the earliest period provided by law. Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt this ordinance.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? Okay. Clerk poll council.
Mr. Lee?
Aye.
Ms. Hermes?
Aye.
Ms. Walther?
Aye.
Ms. Hussman Noglu?
Aye.
Mr. Halter?
Aye.
Remember.
We miss
Ms.
one.
Hudson? I'm sorry. Bueno,
Yeah, I.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, ordinance number 2022-04-LNR passes. Next ordinance, ordinance number 2022-05-CD. This is the first reading, adopting Chapter 937 of the Village of Greenhills Codified Ordinances regarding small cell facilities. Mr. Halter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ordinance number 2022-05CD, adopting Chapter 937 of the Village of Greenhills Codified Ordinances regarding small cell facilities. Whereas Council for the Village of Greenhills has determined it is in the best interest of the village to implement certain regulations related to small cell facilities in the public right-of-way, and whereas it is the desire of Council to adopt such regulations. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the Village of Greenhills, Ohio, members elected hereto concurring, Section 1, that Chapter 937 of the Village of Greenhills Codified Ordinances is hereby adopted as a set forth in Exhibit A, and proposed administrative design guidelines are outlined in Exhibit B, attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference. Section 2, that all other provisions of the Village of Greenhills Codified Ordinances shall remain in full force and effect. Section 3, that this ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after the earliest period provided by law.
Okay, that'll be a first reading. All right, new business, resolution number 2022-22-F, making supplemental appropriations and transfers. Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 2022-R22-F, resolution making supplemental appropriations and transfers. Whereas the 2022 annual appropriations that were adopted on December 14th, 2021 are to be amended, and whereas the appropriations must not exceed total available resources of the village per Ohio Revised Code Section 5705-36A 5. Therefore, an amended certificate of estimated resources has been requested from the County Budget Commission. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Village, Greenhills, Ohio. Section 1, since certain actions are needed in monies appropriated to permit the Village of Greenhills to meet its fiscal obligations for the year 2022, the following items of expenditures are to supplement the appropriations for expenditures for the year 2022. Fund description, Shade Tree Fund 4501. Original appropriation $51,000, change $5,000, new total $56,000. Section 2, that the following transfer of funds be made from previously appropriated monies, none. Section 3, that the resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after the earliest date allowed by law. Mr. Mayor, I move the adoption of this resolution.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Okay, clerk, poll the council.
Okay, Ms. Walther,
Aye.
Ms. Osmanogu,
Aye.
Mr. Halter,
Aye.
Mr. Lee,
Aye.
Ms. Hermes,
Aye.
Ms.
And you.
Hudson. Aye. He's my helper.
Okay, resolution number 2022-22-F passes. And
Jeff?
Yeah, now, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to authorize the village manager and the finance director to refund the appropriate funds for the swim passes for the 2022 season where the pool did not open on time.
Second.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. Do we do a roll call on that?
You can do voice vote.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I hear no nays. Okay, motion
Any
passes.
abstentions?
I abstain.
Oh, okay. All right. Anybody have any comments that they want to make before we proceed along?
Welcome to the new council member, Rachel Hudson. Thank you.
And I'll give you your own copy of the Roberts Rule and the Greenhills Charters.
Thank you. It's good reading.
We'll put you to sleep tonight. Okay, municipal calendar.
September 27th, laws and rules, 6 p.m.
September 27th, 5:30, Safety Committee.
We have a park talk on September 22nd.
September 27th? Oh, wow.
The 22nd?
22nd.
I thought it's
The
the
22nd, okay.
September.
All right. This is an opportunity for residents and non-residents to appear before council. Non-residents must obtain prior permission. This is time for citizens to comment on matters before council. When recognized, please come forward to the podium. Complete the sign-in sheet, verbally indicate if you're a resident of Greenhills or non-resident, then state your comments. If you have questions, the questions will be recorded and referred to the manager's office for response. This will allow time for thoughtful and thorough consideration to be given to each question. Council meetings are recorded for ease of transcription. Comments are limited to 4 minutes. Speakers may not yield any or all of their time to other speakers.
Hi again, Monique Mason-Halter, Greenhills resident. I sent this information to the office already. On October 1st, 2021, Duke Energy submitted its application for increasing electric distribution rates. Duke seeks a rate increase that would generate approximately $55 million of additional revenue, or an increase of 10%. customers may submit comments online to the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio, or they may mail them. The Ohio Consumer Council, or the OCC, has analyzed Duke Energy's proposal and thinks the company can actually maintain a reliable power grid while lowering rates instead of raising them. That sounds better, right? There was a news story about this on WLWT Channel 5 on July 26th, and it actually has a link that goes to the Ohio Consumer Council website, which has an outline of why they think that Duke's proposed increase is wrong, and that they can also lower our rates, which sounds like a better deal to me. If you read more about this, the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio still wants to raise rates, but just a little bit, okay? So I want to thank first Jennifer, because at the last meeting I actually asked for council members to submit a comment online at the PUCO case record in favor of or opposed to this proposed raise increase. I asked y'all to do that either as a whole or as individuals. So I want to thank Jennifer for already doing this. I do also want to mention that I have read some of the public comments, and one of them was provided by a community council in the city of Cincinnati in favor of this proposed rate increase. So it would be great if you all considered, again, as a whole or individually, providing comment. Of course, you're also welcome to provide a comment in favor of this rate increase. That's all. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if this is necessary anymore, but it is kind of distracting, this barrier. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, we have no other further business. Meeting adjourned.